Elza Soares is a Brazilian samba bossa nova recording artist who has been at it for frigging years. Like, frigging years. I must admit, I have not heard much of her material before this latest album that she's put out, but having listened to this, I thought it was worth talking about. Deus or Du Emula, however you pronounce it, I have watched that for sure, is an album that dabbles more in art rock, you know, a little bit of punk and a little bit more experimental music too. Vanguarda paulista is perhaps what it is more well known as in the Brazilian world, the Latino world, which is a genre that started out in like the 70s and was popular throughout the 80s as well. And before I go on to talk about this album, Elza Soares, my friend, Elza Soares is 80 years old. 80 years old. 80 years old. The energy this woman has on this album is unfathomable. Unfathomable. At 80 years old as well, she has more energy than you. Go do some fucking exercise. And that energy is just instantaneous. I mean, the opening track is explosive. Seriously, the instrumental is just rapid, and Elza Soares matches it in a way that I just wouldn't expect if I'd have known she was 80 years old prior listening to this album. Like, if I'd have known that, I'd have thought, oh, okay, this might be a bit more of like a slow moving album, perhaps more a bit like ballad centric, but no. She's absolutely sticking to her roots. This album is just rock at its finest. Like, this album really is the best way to define that, because I think it doesn't really feel like you're listening to perhaps like a more Latin inspired album. I mean, there's so many pop artists these days and pop songs that have that Latin influence, and you wouldn't really attach to those songs to this style of music. The pulsating drums, the rhythm sections on this album, and the buzzing guitars across this whole thing too. I mean, I'm not really going to try and individually name each song because I'm going to botch the way they're pronounced, but I know for a fact that some of these tracks, especially in the first half, just have these like buzzing, electrifying guitar like sounds, you know, and it's incredible to listen to, like, in this style of music. To have this stage presence as well from this vocalist is unreal. Like, I just don't think you can name any artists out there that are around this age that can pull this off. I mean, most artists get to like their mid-70s, and you know, you can tell there's like strains in their vocals when they're trying to do their older songs, but I just feel as though like Elza here is just like, she is just on point. There's just nothing that's showing her age. There is a bit of a dance element to some of these tracks too. I mean, in the second half, some of the songs slow down and we do get a bit more of like an art rock sensibility to them, which I still enjoy, but I must admit I prefer tracks like Banho, you know, the third track, which is just like this really poppy, like peppy type quirky song. There's this really strange instrumental that really reminds me a little bit of Gorillaz, and I don't know why. Track 8 also has that Gorillaz feel to it. It's just that really like uppity tempo with the weird synths going on, and just the kind of like strangeness of it all really gives me that vibe, and it's kind of weird. I just never would have thought I would listen to a Brazilian artist and think Gorillaz, but it's the way it is. And the last couple of tracks on this album are absolutely frantic. Like, this is where she just goes balls to the wall with the sounds. I mean, I don't know what kind of influences she was going for with these tracks. Perhaps she just wanted things to be a little bit more experimental, but she really just hits a peak in that sound. Like, it's honestly unreal. Like, some of these tracks are just so experimental and strange and just so rock heavy that I just wouldn't think that she'd be able to do this kind of thing. And that's not necessarily me commenting on her age at that point as well. It's more to do with the fact that this like final track specifically just sounds completely different to like the opening tracks. Like, to think that it goes from where it did to how it ends, like, I don't know, it's just kind of strange. And I'm all for it as well. I mean, this final track is just insane. The drumming is absolutely just rapid, and the instrumental is just like this jazz odyssey, like this absolutely experimental jazz odyssey that I just can't quite like fathom. Honestly, it's just crazy to think like it started off more in like a bossa nova Brazilian type straightforward way to end in this way. It was just cool. Yeah, as you can probably tell, I'm quite a fan of this album. Think a lot of these sounds are incorporated in such unique ways, and to have this vocalist as well topping everything off in an amazing way, it's just an absolute journey of an album. It's not often you hear this kind of music in the Western world, and to hear someone who's well into their career, you know, past retirement age, still doing this and pulling it off, it's remarkable, and I can't praise this album enough. I do wish many people go and check this out once I reviewed it, or if you already have reviewed it, let me know what you think as well. This is absolutely a B+. The experimentation is admirable, the performances are fantastic. This would absolutely kill in a live setting because it feels live most of the time, just the way everything's just hitting you all at the same time. And it gets pretty intense as well, but I'm all for this intensity, man. It's so good, so good. Let me know your thoughts. If you've heard it, do listen to it and then come back to me. If you haven't heard it, subscribe to the channel for more reviews. Let me know what I should review next. Have a good day. Please listen to this album. Go.